Oh man, it is hot. So it's second day of spring here in Queensland, and the last 3-4 days we've had temperatures in the high 30s already. So the ending winter off, we went straight to summer. So that just puts good stead on what beholds our summer this year. Is going to be a stinker. Anyway, so I've masked off. So I did use tape there. It was just easier than using white tack, but I used the white tack there. I've done the same process to the top as I did for the underside. Alright, so as mentioned, so that's out of the bottle RAAF earth, so that's neat, which is what I need around that randle. That's 70-30, so 70% the earth, 30% white, and 70% the earth and 30% buff. So I'm probably going to go with buff to break it down to change the hue, but I might go 80-20 instead, because that's a bit, it's not too bad I guess, but I want a bit more, if I make it a little bit darker, then I can post shade with more buff in to create fading in more areas. That looks pretty nasty because I didn't thin it, I just blasted them down because I wanted to see. And I'll give you 10 points if you can tell me what that wing's off. Alright, let me move this without breaking it. That's alright. I've had to, last I mentioned about this, that AK terrain I used, how it cracked up. It continued cracking. It cracked day 1, day 2 and day 3. So I've been continually pouring where it cracked. I'd pour PVA glue in it and dab it down with a brush just to fill in the crack where they were, which was everywhere. After that, I've come in again, I've mixed up soil from my yard with some sand, thinned it out, laid it across the whole surface of the dirt area, thinned it out, and I used isopropyl alcohol to break it down, and then I use really thin down PVA glue. So I use in a dropper bottle, so I can just easily disperse it. So that's like really runny PVA glue. That's I learned off night shift, that one. Breaks the tension. If you just put the PVA glue even thin down, it blobs on it. It doesn't run through it. The IPA creates it, relieves the surface tension, so it just soaks into it. I've done the Mars and Manning again, just with again just with a piece of sponge, not that big. I cut it, and a couple of I did I went across with red brown, and then I mixed red brown with light rust on a palette and dip the sponge in, and then dip that on paper towel, so like if you were chipping, get the excess paint off, and then just dabbed over it. It's not what I wanted. What I wanted is what I had originally, but AK's product did not work for me. As Chris Becker mentioned to me, it could be the heat we've been having. I have used it, not that colour, but I've used it before on a build and I didn't have issues with it, so it could have been the heat, but I didn't I thought, oh, maybe I put it too thick, but I didn't really have it thick. Really, I said 5mm the other day, I think, but I don't even think it was that thick because it was level or a bit below the Marsden matting, and that was only 2.5mm thick. I suppose I had that bit of MDF under it, so anyway, it didn't work. All it did was put me a couple of days behind of where I wanted to be with it. I think it's dry, it's just dried wet. What I'll do is I'm going to mix probably some earth brown, or I'll have a look through my colours, mix this with water, like really heavily thin it, and get a big brush. The one I had the other day. Something like this, and dip it in the heavily thin paint and just let the capillary action run off the brush. Put some colour in that soil, even though it has the natural colour. I have to get rid of the PVA glue stains. So I might have to put the paint down. When it dries, see how that looks and go from there. But it's you might, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I don't like the look of how it is now, so I want to get it better. As for more plant life, I may put a couple of little things in, but I'm going from that picture. I mean, most likely when they laid down this matting, they bulldozed the area to make an airstrip, so everything would have been knocked down. But that picture I showed, I think, when I first said I was doing this build, it was just a couple of palm trees behind, so that's why I put these in. It adds to the look of the display. But I might put, I don't know, a bit of static grass, like just here and there, like it's starting to sprout again type thing. But again, I'll see how I go with that. Alright, so now I just need to start laying down this camouflage. So I prefer to do the scheme and then put, if I'm spraying the markings, spray the markings after, because in reality the markings would be sprayed on top of the actual painted aircraft. But it does either or, I guess, whatever floats your boat when you're doing that. Either way, you got to mask off, so you either spray the randles, mask them off, and then do the camo, or what I do, spray the camo and then mask off and do the randles. Yeah, so whatever suits, whichever way you want to go, there's no wrong way. I've done as much as I'm going to do on the base. Where I had that I showed before with the bit of glossy from the PVA glue, this is where I've put the static grass, and I think it's worked out well because it's kept it random, because I don't want it all grassed. My suggestion is the grass is starting to grow back from when it's been cleared, and I've put in some laser cut weeds. I think is it Ammo or AK? Make them just randomly as well. Just weeds are always the first thing that comes up when you clear dirt. So now I have to varnish my balsa wood. So I'll give it a couple of coats of varnish, and then that can be put aside. That's done. And all I need now is to finish the aircraft, and I'm just going to pause, and I'll come back and look at the finished camouflage on it. I've freehanded it. Personally, I prefer free-handed camouflage. I think it looks better, unless I'm doing something that really requires a harder edge, but I think it adds to the weathering. A feathered demarcation between colours looks better, especially in 1/32 scale. This needs a clear gloss coat before I continue, so that'll help. Once the clear coat goes, it helps blend it all in. So the earth brown I lightened, as I mentioned, with buff, and when I'd finished it I lightened it more and come back and sprayed randomly. And the foliage green, I sprayed it first straight from the bottle. I thinned it, but just the base colour, and then I come back in with a bit of yellow and randomly sprayed around, and then added some white to that again, and then did some more random areas with it. So I'm really happy with how it's coming together. I love the foliage green. It's my favourite colour on World War II Australian Air Force schemes. So yeah, next up will be a clear coat, and then I'll be starting to do all the spraying in the roundels and the tail flash on it.